Who's your boss?
I work for Kaiser Soze.
Alright friends, welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. We continue our Shokuho series here on Patreon. This again is a Patreon exclusive. You can see the Strength in AI mod is loaded successfully. And we need it, right? Because Kaiser Soze is becoming a world domineering force. If you guys have seen Usual Suspect, you know the legendary character I am referring to. We're having a little bit of fun role-playing that. Of course, that guy's name only slightly sounds Japanese. I don't think it has anything to do with it. But we are going to play as Kaiser Soze, the bandit samurai, in this playthrough. Now, starting to pick up just a little head of steam here as we get some good looking troops. We continue to flesh out our army, and we're starting to get some decent skill points here. 120 two-handed, 150 athleticism, getting some decent perks. And as I've been talking about during this stretch here, the companions are quite powerful, right? When you scan through them, most of them are higher level than Kaiser Soze, right? So these are badass companions, although again, some mild complaints, to put it lightly, about the physical look of the companions. Hopefully that's something the creators can eventually touch up. The men don't look too terrible, but most of the women look like they fell down the ugly tree and hit every branch. So those complaints aside, this majestical overhaul mod deserves your attention. And it deserves my attention. It's been remarkably stable, and we're going to continue to progress through this. Now, just doing this at the beginning of the episode because I want to flesh out some of these companions, and I'm trying to film 95% of this campaign. In other words, all these little minute details. There will be a stage soon where we're skipping some of this stuff because I think you guys don't need to see me sell a bunch of trinkets and ordinary katanas and stuff like that, right? We've got a bunch of equipment. We're going to flesh this guy out with the one-handed weapon because I didn't realize he's got 4 perk points in one-handed and only 1 in two-handed. And obviously that's just a very simple, basic thing. You want to look at your companions, see what they're good at, and then give them the proper tools to kill. Looking at our gold, 15,000 gold here. We're looking okay. We need some more though, right? We need to pump up our mercenary contract, but I continue to invest in our army and these companions. We don't have the death for all mod turned up, so the odds of companions dying is pretty low, combined with the fact that you get a lot of money if you win battles that are big or difficult, and it's worth it for us to... I need to rest here, actually. I'm at 12% health. We can't even enter a tournament. It's worth it, though, to invest in your army. Now, this quest here, we need some looters for that quest. I think this guy... Let's see this shit. They got some troops here we can recruit. And look at 79, right? We are clan tier 2, probably closing in on clan tier 3. And eventually we get some Kanto cavalry and stuff like that. This guy wants us to get some... Basically go hunt some slaves. We got another battlefield remains here to play with, too. Although my health is so low, I don't think we can participate. A lot of guys would just sit in the city for 4 days here. What I'll probably do is just move about, collect troops at city or villages here, and then engage either those looters, manhunters, or we will go back to that battlefield remains. One thing I'd like to see with the battlefield remains is a little bit more variability. Again, I know a few of the developers have watched a few of these episodes. Maybe even they're a subscriber to our Patreon. If so, fellas, I appreciate it greatly. And I will try to give my honest, unvarnished opinion about stuff. I'm notorious for being very honest, even when that honesty, reveals unpleasant remarks, right? What I would say is that with this, every once in a while, I'll put like 30 or 40 troops in. So you're either forced to flee or get captured or something like that. Make it a little bit more dynamic would just make this something that would be enjoyable the entire time. Now look at this shit. We literally look like a bunch of shoppers at a Black Friday event trying to get to the cheap refrigerators first. These looters, they're going to the same pile of loot as us too. So let's try and go past them here. Never mind. They engaged. There must be a personal bubble space where they aggro. Instead of going to the loot, these guys want some bows and arrow in my face. I'm playing at work and I'm a little bit caffeinated, so my aim is going to be a little rough to start today here. But we're still going to be able to mangle. So Oihagi looters. I think we've graduated beyond Oihagi looters here. Although the manhunters, right? Be warned, right? Like I said, we have had a few go-abouts with the manhunters And be careful, right? These bow and gun-armed bandits are not one to be trifled about. Okay. No one's attacking us. You know, this loot is, I dare say, overpowered, right? There's clear risk here. We haven't been captured yet. That guy actually looks like he's stuck. He's over there cursing. But you get really good loot. It's largely free. And on top of that, you get EXP. Oh, shit. Your companions are quite under your control for these, right? You have to basically tell them to engage, tell them to shoot. About the only thing they do automatically is loot the remains here. So they can kind of attack. We can continue to look for loot. But I think it'd be great if there was a couple more elements of randomness to these. In other words, it'd be great if like 50 soldiers came to the edge of the map or something like that. And then on the other side, 100 bandits, and they started fighting, and you could participate, or you could, you know, kind of fight at the margins of that. Maybe that would be difficult to code, but stuff like that obviously would enrich this. Now, yeah, see, we can't loot anymore once they rout. So there's a little, you know, element if you're doing that early in a campaign. I think it's advisable to sort of spar with the looters, but don't kill them all. That way you can get as much loot as possible. Now, speaking of loot, before I started this, or before I turned off the last episode, stopped recording, I saw this, right? There's 88 bandits here. I've got 20% health. It's a little bit tenuous, but we're going to engage those guys here, right? We're going to basically rest a little bit and then recruit a few troops here and track those guys down. You get influence even for, you know, destroying raiders and stuff like that. We will take these gunners, right? Every single time that there are gunners, we're going to buy them until we're broke, basically. Because eventually, if we can form an army that's 70% horse archer, horse gunners, and archers, I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to start impacting the lands of Japan, almost like a you know, a dojo, like a boss, basically. We're going to start rampaging with some tactics here. No shields, right? I've been salivating over the potential of having an elite archer army and a whole bunch of enemy foot troops and or cavalry without shields, right? We're going to be filling the air with smoke and filling the ground with bodies. Now, hopefully we can track these looters down. They ran around the corner. They just disappeared. Oh, here we go. Okay. Oh, shit. All right, so we've got some potential carnage here. The reinforcement system is engaged. Just to remind you again, there's a good chance that outside groups, parties, other bandits, maybe even villagers join this battle. So that's another interesting dynamic that's going to be part of this campaign. And based on my experience with it lately, this is an indispensable mod. Now, I don't know if it works for Castle Siege. And this is probably, again, one of the worst battlefields to fight a bunch of looters on. But we can do a little bit of kiting here with our divisions. Got to get some of these units set apart. Let me finish that point. The Castle Siege component of the reinforcement system is one of the most interesting things I've seen in any mod in Bannerlord. And what I mean by that is that it is wholly unique and wholly outstanding in its effect in the game, right? If you don't know what I'm referring to, maybe this is the first time you've heard about it. The reinforcement mod, of course, allows outside armies, outside enemy foes, and allies to join a battle that's already in progress. So we're going to be fighting here. All of a sudden, so-and-so lord could enter and help us with these bandits. Or those Oihagi looters could come in and say, hey, we see an opportunity to capture this Kaiser Soze fuck. He's got a bounty over his head. Let's get his ass. And they could join. Now, the best part to me has been Castle Siege. You can siege a castle, and halfway through, a bunch of samurai will come behind you with their horse archers and archers while you are fighting the defenders, and you can get pinched. It can be chaotic. They can have cavalry. It's the only situation apart from your initial one guy on a horse where there can be cavalry in a siege. And I just think that's an outstanding feature, right? This is something that Tale Worlds was supposedly working on some time ago, right? I remember it was one of the things they sort of promised in the future. I don't know if promised is the right word, but they were talking about it for a future part of Bannerlord, right? Is to have a Rohirrim-style Lord of the Rings charge against the enemy that's sieging a city, right? We all want to do that and just come in and just start spearing all these fucks that are attacking your city. It makes for chaos. It makes for a cinematic scene. And these guys with this reinforcement mod have recreated this, right? You can effectively You cannot. Unfortunately, you don't have the ability to storm in while somebody else is attacking, but I read in one of their notes that they're working on that, right? So it's something that maybe they can pull off, right? It's probably very complex. The base game is not really designed for it right now. Now, I'm kiting too late here. I'm just trying to kite a couple divisions here, and I'm going to start doing this more and more. I should mention essentially what we're doing. We're going to have... should have done it a little bit early. Now these poor bastards are getting cut down. Zoku thieves and stuff like that are cutting down this division. The idea is to kite with a couple divisions of archers and infantry right into the teeth of nasty horse archers and the Elite 6 division. In this campaign, the 6th division is going to be the division that we put our best archers and ranged units, gunners, and we will kite these other archers right into the teeth of those units. And it's a pretty savage trap, right? It's going to effectively be an easy kill box. We will get more dynamic with it the more experience I get. But by having that division back there already shooting, and then you pull your archers back to it, not only is the enemy, getting strafed that whole time, but they're getting more damage because they're running right at it. Right? So I think it's going to be effective. It's just a tactic I'm sort of developing in my brain for this campaign, and we'll see how it works. Here we were sloppy, and I underestimated how slowly these troops would retreat. That is part of the learning process, right? Failure is just an opportunity to get better in the future. Yeah, we're going to continue to recruit bandits all along the way here. The troop trees to me are still incredibly overwhelming, right? There is an unbelievable amount of troops in Shokuho. I think I could argue there's too many. And maybe, once I've played for 100 hours, it'll be the right amount. And basically, let me explain. At the beginning, they all sound and look the same, apart from this guy's got a gun and that guy's got a bow and this guy's got a horse. But just like Bannerlord, where there's like 200 or 300 unique units, eventually that variety is nice because you're on a battlefield and there's all kinds of different troops. It makes it feel real instead of it feeling like the old Total War series where there's 900 infantry and they all look identical. The best part about it, of course, with a game like this is that your armies and battles really do feel like a huge brawl of thousands of troops against thousands of real troops because they're not only acting independently, but they look different too, right? So they check all the boxes for our brain that tricks it into saying, this is real, this looks real. Add in the fact that they're all screaming and have morale of their own and they drop their weapons and guys' heads are getting lopped off. And Bannerworld has mastered large-scale exquisite combat. I am aware of a few competitors. Some guys want me to do basically a pre-review, a hype trailer for some of these other competitors that are coming up. I don't even want to mention their names yet because I just have no idea whether or not these are going to be pretenders, real contenders, games I want to play, games I'm not interested in. I'm not going to sell out on the channel here, and I'll explain that part. I was approached by a company that does over $1 billion a year in video game revenue, and they said they wanted to pay me $5,000. I'm not going to tell you who they are. We won't be doing, I'm not going to drop names or anything like that. We're going to keep people anonymous here. I've probably already given too much of it away. But they wanted me to make a 100-hour campaign for $5,000 to highlight their game. And I don't want to tell you more about the game in case you think I'm disparaging some particular game. However, it's not my kind of game at all. And I told them, thank you very kindly. I am honored. Thank you for the opportunity, but this is not the direction I want to go with the channel. I don't think my viewers are aligned with that style of game. And so I said no, right? I'm not doing this strictly for money, fellas. I know that's probably, some people are probably incredulous when I say that. I have a pension coming. I'm a firefighter. My wife and I both work hard. We both have money, and we don't have kids, so we're not broke. So I'm not gonna, we're not gonna be selling out this channel to the highest bidder. I'm not opposed to to working with some people, whether it's to do promotions for something that they're offering. In fact, I'm talking with a fellow who I've mentioned it before, who works with people financially. He's basically a one-on-one financial advisor, his company. And we may be doing, some small sponsors like that, but I don't want to take the channel in a wholly different direction. I say all the time, and you guys hear me, this channel's dedicated to Bannerlord. And that may change, but probably not, right? I really love Bannerlord. I think this game has a lot of life to it. The DLC's coming. These mods are going to have months, if not years, worth of playability. And we are going to stay true to our name, even if it means that I make, you know, half or a quarter or whatever of what I could potentially make. And hopefully you guys find that refreshing. You know, there are guys out there that put sponsor videos and stuff like that. I already hate ads, right? That's why we're doing the Patreon component of this. And if Patreon gets to the stage where I'm making X amount of money, I'm not going to tell you guys how much, but if I'm making X amount of money and I feel like I'm being fairly compensated for all my effort here, I'm going to stop doing, or at least way slow down the amount of ads we're using in videos, right? It'll essentially be ad-free, hopefully ad-free on Patreon, as these episodes should be. Let me remind you of that. If you're watching this on our Patreon site and it's a link and the video says unlisted, I think it'll say unlisted for you fellas. Let me know if you see any ads. I want that feedback. In fact, I was going to say I insist. I order you to tell me when there are ads. No, please, though, do me a favor and tell me if there are ads, because I am curious of this process. These videos I put in what's called unlisted format. That means they're a private link, and the only person that can access it is someone who has the link, right? By giving it to you Patreon supporters. The idea here is you're getting something exclusive for your contributions, whether you're contributing a small amount or very generously to the channel. I appreciate all of you guys and gals, and we are going to continue to do this way. Hopefully there's no ads, right? I don't need to make a nickel off of you for each ad while you're already contributing. So let me know if there are any ads. You can just post in the section where I share these links each week, and if they do start to pop up, understand that it's probably not me. And what I mean by that is that YouTube has sent me multiple disclaimers. In fact, there's a couple videos I had that weren't monetized, where it basically said, we're monetizing this video, right? It had 100,000 views. YouTube reserves the right to monetize, even if you do not. So I want to know if they are. I'm curious if this gigantic multi-trillion-dollar company is making money off my little tiny videos here, and we'll see how that works. All right, so hideouts continue to be something that I'm interested in, again, because we have this adjustable bandit mod. With this mod, you can make these basically untakeable. What I mean by that is you can make it so they have 100 plus people inside. Now, Lemon, the gatekeeper here, Lemon with a lowercase L, is going to be part of the vanguard here. This guy's either going to become a warrior or die trying. We're not just letting this guy chill and hang out. Now, there's a whole bunch of... This looks identical. There's a whole bunch of guys right there, and you barely even have the opportunity to draw your weapon before they're charging you. So it's right into the fire in these hideouts. Now, just to mention that point again, in Vanilla Bannerlord, a difficult hideout has like 25 bandits, and the boss may be 7-8 defenders. With this mod, you can have fucking 100 defenders in a hideout, where it's just like almost like a castle siege, and it's brutally difficult, and it's a war of attrition because you only have X amount of units. I say X amount of units because with that mod, you are allowed to adjust it, I think, as high as 20 or 30, right? So I can have a small army in this hideout mission, and the enemy can have similarly a huge force. Where the boss ends up having like 40 or 50 guys around him, right? In just this gnarly battle. As our guys blow the surprise here with their guns. The guns sound terrific. It's almost like they went out and shot a 15th century Japanese rifle and recorded it out in the fields. The sound effects in this game are outstanding. The varied details of the landscape, the effects, and the combat are all outstanding. I just wish that the character faces had a little bit more, shall we call it, grace, right? They all seem to look like they fell out of a tree and hit every single branch, almost like an annual ritual. Let's climb the tallest tree in our village, fall down and hit every single branch directly in our face until we look kind of like goblins or something like that. I hope I'm not just being an ignorant racist. You know, I just think the models are probably not really well designed to handle the cultural change to Japanese. Although, again, someone could enlighten me, and maybe I am just being a stupid racist. I don't know. Racism is something that a lot of people do just sort of accidentally with our natural tendencies towards xenophobia. Maybe that'll be one of my next little philosophical discussions. Racism is natural. What I mean by that is that almost everybody in the whole world is racist. We have to control our natural instincts to be racist. Right? We are uncomfortable around things that are not like us, and we have to sort of enlighten ourselves to feel comfortable around people who are different than us, right? It's just like choosing not to eat all the food that's in front of us every time we see it because we don't want to walk around and be wildly obese. Our primitive interest is to eat everything. All right, so not too bad here. There's like 8 to 10 guys here. This should be a quick beheading here and tear through this. I think our previous bandit mission had like 30 here at the boss. That was easy. We just carved our way through that. But like I said, I have the ability with the settings to make this even harder. So maybe we will adjust this in future hideouts. I'm not going to do hideouts very long. Maybe we'll put a cap on it. As long as I'm in the teens for levels, we'll do hideouts. And once we get to level 20, we'll stop doing them. Some people might see this as farming, even though you're not getting that good of prisoners or anything like that. We get a nice little banner here. So increased troop movement speed. A lot of guys put it right on infantry. Nah, we're putting it on our archer captain, right? We want to be able to kite. We're going to play this differently than most people play on YouTube. I get a lot of guys that say you play Bannerlord unlike anything I've seen before. Good, right? That's refreshing. Hopefully you guys appreciate that. And hopefully I'm inspiring all kinds of people out there to play Bannerlord in different ways. You don't have to play like us. Take the parts you like and integrate it into your own game. And discard the parts that you think are stupid, right? I'm not Yogi. I'm not fucking Yoda. Play the game how you will, right, my friend? Do however you want. I wanted to sound like Yoda there. I didn't do a very good job. But the point is that there's all kinds of different ways to skin a cat, the old saying. You're disgusting, by the way, if you're skinning a cat, or maybe that's the wrong metaphor. Give some money. I'm going to give money to every temple. Not because I'm religious, but because it seems like the right thing to do. Tell you a little story of charity that I experienced recently if I get more time in this episode. Again, we're going to wander the philosophical parts of my brain. We're going to wander some of the areas of wisdom that maybe you younger people in life would appreciate. I say it before. Let a pound of my mistakes lead to an ounce of your future. Let a pound of my mistakes give you an ounce of wisdom, right? We're gonna essentially do the old transfer of life wealth from me to you, because I've gone through more life than most of you, and I've made mistakes that I don't want you guys to make, right? We've already talked about finances. We've talked about relationships on some level. Actually, let's rampage about that a little bit. And when I say rampage, I'm just going to go on a little rant here. This guy, I got your prisoners. Why does this guy keep saying sure? They're right here, motherfucker. Take them. Let's see if we can shove these on this guy to complete this quest. There. Here, let's settle up. Give me some money, dude. I fucking fetched your prisoners. There we go. So he gives me a measly 560 gold. I feel like raiding his village for that shit, but this is the reason you do it. Kato mounted samurai. I think this is the best cavalry in the game. So we're going to be accumulating some of these horsemen. Trained. I mean, we got to dump a few troops here. I'm going to be leaning towards cavalry gunners, and archers early in this campaign. The cavalry will help us chase down people. The archery, of course, is self-explanatory. It's unbelievably powerful. And, of course, we'll try to eventually upgrade to guns. Now, I'm working my way southwest. There's all kinds of castle siege down by that yellow Gifu and stuff like that. The north, there's a little bit of action. We seem like we're in a bit of a dead zone here. So we're going to continue to head kind of southwest. Nara. I don't know historically, what was going on here, but yellow seems to have a lot of territory. Maybe we'll fight against them or for them. I want to go to where the action is, though, right? We're like college boys who are looking to get laid. We don't want to go to the party with like 4 people and they're playing some classical music in the corner. We want to go to the rave where there's 900 people and a whole bunch of drunk chicks and drunk dudes and there's carnage. That's how you get it done. Now, this will work, right? The dangerous or the adjustable bandit mod is creating opportunities for us left and right here in the short term. We're a little banged up, but I think we'll try this. And I just, so strategy here, right? I've got these hunters. These are archers. However, right next to us here are infantry bandits. They're very likely to join this battle, right? So think about it logically. If you're fighting archers and then infantry charge you, that's much, much worse than fighting infantry and quickly dissolving them and then having archers come in behind them. In other words, if you have your choice who you fight first, infantry or archers, fight your archers first, right? Or excuse me, fight your infantry first, because you can kite, right? You can pull your units back and then kite. So we're going to attack these Zoku bandits instead. That makes a lot more sense to me. And then if these manhunters aggro us, that's okay, right? In other words, if they join the battle or they fight us afterwards, then we'll take them on sort of in turn here. Army's in pretty good shape here. Zoku bandits, come get some. We're slightly favored, right? We're going to have to do some kiting, probably a kill box here, and continue to... Oh, shit. Well, it was inevitable, but we have our first crash and a little pit in my stomach here. We're going to just have to reload this game, but we suffer our first crash here with Shokuho. Just because there's been nonstop action. They're not great battles, you know, but it's still fights, and these battlefields that we've been able to loot, we've been acquiring some amazing loot, and there's been just enough villagers and whatnot, these little towns, to give us troops. And we're, you know, I can't remember exactly the day it crashed, maybe September or summer 3 or 4, but we're pretty close to the point back, right? And we'll probably pick it up right about here. I was going to say welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. But what we're going to do is essentially stitch together where the system crashed there. We've got another battlefield to enter here. And not everything was the same. That's just the nature of it. I'm just going to keep that section, though, and skip the last 20 minutes. In fact, I haven't really been narrating the whole way, sort of ruminating over the crashes. We had 2 crashes within 5 minutes, and sort of crossing my fingers that the rest of this is stable. Although, I'll still say that's a feather in their cap for such a dynamic mod with all these new systems to have 2 crashes, right, in 5 hours. It's not too bad, although once bitten, twice shy. Now, these remain one of my favorite new elements of the game. I'm going to be silent here for a bit, but just notice the music and the ambiance. This feels amazing. It's kind of foggy and cloudy, and there's enemies out there while we loot the remnants of this gnarly battlefield. It's extraordinarily well done, and the music is top-notch. I mean, the music really is a 10 out of 10, and the environment is a 10 out of 10, right? There's like a mist and a fog, and you know there's enemies out there. In fact, there they go. There's guys running around with masks and shit. It just feels like an online event where there's real players. Now, unfortunately, these guys are... In fact, he's throwing rocks at me. These guys are not scaling very well to the power of our army here. So it's not much of a challenge, but I just think these are really well done. And again, it'd be nice if they could add just a little bit of variance to this, where all of a sudden there's gnarly units coming in and like a samurai lord comes in, and, you know, they could speed up the music or something like that. But I do realize that's asking a lot already from this great mod. So I'm going to try something a little different here too. We're just going to loot while our guys fight. And I've got 2 or 3 guys fighting. I'm going to loot. You got these little sort of dells where the loot is, and you feel protected at least from ammunition. This guy's over here looting, throwing rocks at me. Catch one in the chest there, dude. In fact, we're going to finish looting all your shit. And these are great. Now, we've been able to obtain some elite loot. At some point or other, I will sort through that. I realize I'm probably not going to include that 15 or 20 minutes leading up to this point. We've acquired some cavalry. I acquired some nice mercenary forces. Now, this guy was hiding. I couldn't even fucking see him. He's hiding over here in these bushes. Just the various different effects of this game are outstanding. And I like this process, right? We've got 2 or 3 companions fighting. They can fight while we loot here. And that's Lemon right there with his stupid hat. And look at Lemon go, right? Lemon the gatekeeper with his 6 and 12 stats. He's going to get stronger. This guy's going to get stronger. Either that or we're going to die. He's going to die trying, right? We're going to send him into the fire here. And, oh shit, there's a bunch of archers here. See, this is what I mean. These are wholly new units to me. And I'm getting smoked. Fuck, I need a bigger tree to hide behind. I'm almost dead. Getting shot in the neck, in fact. Our companions, Lemon, for Lemon, right? He's going to die unless I charge here. So we're in trouble, actually. I don't know where the rest of our companions are. Maybe they're down. We got a bob and weave here. I'm down to a fraction of health. I don't know what happens here. I think we get captured, and we haven't gotten captured yet. Oh, shit. He's down. Lemon is down. As we push in here. God, there's one guy left. Oh, chop your head off, and then he kicks the guy's corpse. Savage. Now, we have companions left there. So, you know what they were doing? They're still looting. And Lemon, right, like I said, Lemon is going to get stronger whether he wants to or not, right? We're going to send this guy in face first, and he's either going to fly or flounder. Now we've got even more brigands and bandits to fight here. And I think this is a nice balance level. At some point or other, we will probably share the settings for this adjustable bandit mod. And I don't think the crashes so far have been related to that mod. Now, what is this? Book. Effects, trade, steward, medicine, steward, charm. This reminds me of Skyrim. I wonder if you can buy books and then add skills somehow or temporarily. You know, knowledge is power, right? On the channel, we always recommend you young fellas read books. And if you don't have time to read a book, listen to audiobooks, right? Do all kinds of self-help. I've got this tier 6 gun and some other nice loot here we've got to sort through. I don't want to do that now, but what I want to do is I want to sell some of this loot so that we can take advantage of these books, right? This is the local library here at this temple. We're gonna dump all these hats and waraji onto the table and try to get these books at a discount, right? It says you will get 600 gold. I've got so much loot from these battles against these peasants and looters and whatnot that I think we can basically trade all our trinkets and bent glaives and Minko capes and shit like that and get a bunch of books, right? So knowledge is power, and they're willing to take all of our garbage gear here in exchange for some books. I don't know how to use these. In fact, I wasn't even aware that this existed in the mod before I saw this. So it looks like we can afford 2 of them. We'll get some guns, learn how to shoot some guns here, and we'll continue to talk about sort of the evolution of history of guns. It's kind of interesting to think about that the Japanese people were so involved with guns, in some cases well before Europeans, the Chinese, of course, and the Arabic countries of the Middle East were way ahead of a lot of medieval countries when it came to technology and guns. And I will talk a little bit about that, the Arabic golden age of knowledge, 11th, 12th century. Now, I don't know how to use these, so I'm going to have to learn a little bit about these. I can't, you can't click a button that says use, but I presume it either temporarily or long-term makes your knowledge better. Now, we're a little bit beat up here. One of the consequences of all these battles, again, is that we're injured, and we've got to kind of take time in between to heal up here, but I can auto-resolve here. I can't chase these guys down. In fact, why are we disorganized still? What's going on here? It's been a while since that fight. Let's just wait until this goes away. It's not going away. Disorganized with minus 1.75. I think I'm bugged, unless there's something else going on here that I don't know. Maybe you guys can chime in the comments. I have been disorganized now for like 24 hours. And unless my guys are all running into the forest with a book, maybe we're disorganized because everybody's found a book. And it's like the Book of Eli, where everybody's fighting, trying to get a hold of the book because they want knowledge. I don't know what's going on here, but I'm going to have to save and try to reload so that disorganized thing goes away. Otherwise, we won't be able to move. So a little bit of save here, and we will be right back. All right, back loaded up, and we'll see if this is fixed. It does not look like it. So we've got, I want to say, a game-crashing bug, but we're going to soldier on somehow. We're not like 1.0 speed, which would be game crashing because you could never catch anything. I don't think we're encumbered. I don't understand. We're very slightly encumbered here, so we'll dump a bunch of bags of rice and seaweed all over the road. Very happy local peasants. And let's see if that fixes it. I'm going to try a few different things here to see if we can't fix this on its own. It just says we're disorganized, minus 1.75, which is a huge movement penalty. And it doesn't seem to be going away. Now we've got, let's see, we can do a few perk points here. I'm kind of cramping my brain trying to figure out ways to fix this. One of the ways we might be able to fix it is entering combat. It's possible that we could enter a battle and then it'll sort of reset it and you'll go through the normal process. Usually it's somewhere between 5 and 6 game hours when you exit a battle before you're no longer disorganized. In this case, for some reason, one of these little missions or quests or battles has set us to this sort of permanent state of disorganization. Like a hoarder, whose house is just completely crammed to the ceiling full of boxes of shit. We are highly disorganized right now. Now we're still moving 4.9 speed, or 3.4, because we're on the road. Now what's this? This is all new for me. Wait in camp. I can read a book. Here's how you read those books. So, I don't know, we'll just read some books here. And this will probably get us skill points, right? Or maybe we accumulate the skill points faster. I don't know what's happening here. We can wait. We're reading a book right now, and it says it might take a while. I don't see any skill points, so I don't know. Maybe you gain skill points quicker as you go. as you go. So here we go. I think we're literally reading a book and getting better at trading and shit. Now we're resting. Our army needs rest anyways. And I bet you can get attacked in camp, right? There's large bandit parties nearby. It didn't seem to fix our disorganized state, right? I thought maybe if you had to, maybe you have to camp every once in a while because your troops are exhausted or whatever. And this is definitely a situation where I would love some feedback. If you guys have experienced this and know a solution, or if maybe you've seen this bug, and hopefully the answer is not my save game is fucked here, because, I mean, we could go back in time, right? We could pick up a save game from a week ago, but man, would that be a lot of wasted effort. I don't want to have to do that. Now, I'm going to seek a battle here, but I'm highly aware that we could get captured just trying to fix this bug. We've already had a battle or two against these manhunters, and these guys are no joke. In fact, I thought they might turn on me. That's a good sign that 108 of them wouldn't attack me. That means that our army is fleshed out enough, that we're strong enough. And I'm going to try to isolate a smaller, 60. If we can push them a little bit of ways away. If you remember, we have the reinforcement system activated here as we continue to read our book, evidently, while we chase these guys. So if these units are nearby, I think they will join the battle after we attack them. So I kind of want to push them a little bit away from the other units here. God, there's a lot of them. With the adjustable bandit mod, we're going to run into these small zergs of bandits. Now this is better. We've got a smaller force that we've been able to chase off here towards the edge of this little hideout. We're not probably going to be able to do that hideout, right? We're beat up, and I really want to figure out this disorganization for 7932. There are some nearby, so I expect reinforcements here. Hopefully it's not hundreds, right? You can get a situation with our settings where it's hundreds, and I think that's probably, I think that's probably the best thing we can do right now, temporarily, is to overcome that, or at least give us a little bit of a speed advantage artificially, right? Because we're suffering effectively a huge artificial loss of group speed. I don't know. Maybe some guys don't like, the options we have here, but I'm going to roll with that. All right, let's fight these bandits here. We can get back to the game at least for the near while. And I'm really hoping as we exit this battle, everything goes back to normal. Because it's highly distracting, right? It's gonna alter our game significantly if we just have a permanent 1.75 speed. Now there's a small chance that it's designed into the game, and I need to go, eat some fish and some sake and stay at an inn or something like that. You would think though that they would have some kind of tutorial if that were the case. It would say something like, "You're disorganized. You need to go do this. You need to go buy a bunch of bins for your garage and then get a home organizer because your shit's so disorganized. You're moving slow." But if there is, I've never heard of something like that, and I never saw the warning. Now I want to speed up the cursor speed just a bit. I'm having a little bit of time getting used to this cursor. I am playing at work, so there's a small chance I'll just have to run. You guys will probably hear the alarm tones in the background saying, engine 28, you got to respond to this. I'm a full-time firefighter, just in case you didn't know that. And sometimes we got to blaze and go do CPR. Sometimes we got to help a little cat out of a tree. Yes, I've been on 2 of those in my 30-year career. And a lot of times we just, there's some car that spilled some oil and we cover the drain, right? There's the less glamorous side. People see firefighters like on Chicago Fire or all these other TV shows, and everybody, whether it's CSI or oh shit, don't need my fucking email, thanks. Whether it's CSI or firefighting shows, they are always unbelievably unrealistic, right? Same thing with all the ER shows. It makes it look like there's all this drama, when in reality they have all kinds of protocols and shit they have to do. The fire service is a great job. Oh shit, we do have other units joining here. But it's not like Chicago Fire, where every episode people are jumping out of a helicopter and shit, and shit's exploding everywhere, and they almost get killed every 5 minutes. Very different in reality. As usual, TV sort of ruins people's idea of what to expect. But I do have to, go at a moment's notice at any point. So we have reinforcements coming in here. We've got to rush these guys. And the reason why I want to rush them, there could be more reinforcements. When you have 16 troops come in and there could be another 100 behind them, kill these guys. Pounce on them while you can, right? We're going to rush up here, try to get cavalry and infantry in these guys' face. And these guys are fucking nasty. I want to say they're tier 3. These guys both just shot their guns. So we'll take advantage of the fact that they can't shoot again. But these archers are accurate. They do good damage, 31 damage to my head, right? I gotta be careful not to get killed. Fortunately, we've got some good leveling cavalry. Our cavalry's actually getting nasty. We have the, what is it, the Canto or whatever. They're like tier 5, tier 6 cavalry already. So as long as we can keep them alive here, we're developing a nice little army. But, and it looks like we've got this wrapped up, but a highly disorganized, nice army, right? In fact, this is such a game-altering bug. I might take a week, leave a little feedback, or at least allow a little feedback to come in, maybe even do the old Reddit and Google, and see if we can't figure this out, right? Submit a bug report. I can't imagine it's built into the game without learning about it. In other words, I can't imagine it's operating as intended, and I'm just not doing the right thing. I think they would have told us, you know, you suffer this disorganization unless you eat a bunch of sake and visit the tavern or something like that. But if it is, and you guys know the answer, let me know. Cast aside these bandits here. I think we'll probably just play for another 20 or 25 minutes on this, and hopefully it doesn't make us, it doesn't force us to get captured. I continue to work my way southwest here, as I think that caravan joined us. I can't tell. Sometimes when units are right next to you like that after a battle, they actually joined you in the battle. I'm going to make my way southwest here at this slower pace because we're trying to get to where there's major war. Now, obviously, it's going to be a problem with this disorganized state where there's major war because we'll get chased down by armies and get captured like a bitch. There's looters everywhere. This adjustable bandit mod is certainly speeding along our campaign. I want to say we're a year into the campaign and we're already approaching clan tier 3. I think Kaiser Sose is level 13 or 14 already. I'm going to do one or two more of these. Maybe this will be the last one. These seem a little bit like hideouts in that they... Oh, shit. Make sure all our companions are involved. We got to get Lemon involved, right? Lemon, get in there with the capital or with the lowercase L. We're not going to do too many of these just because eventually they become so easy. And of course, you guys don't need to see me do 60 of these over the course of a campaign. We might leave these for when we're desperate. Maybe if we're rebuilding and we have no money, then we would do something like this. But so far, of course, we haven't lost any of these, right? These are not battles where you're incredibly hard pressed. And I'm getting a rhythm kind of for what you do, right? You loot as much as you can as long as the other side is not attacking you. Because as soon as you kill everybody in this screen, you can no longer loot, right? Now, this guy's actually at the loot pile that I want to go to. So sometimes you just say, fuck it. We'll just charge these guys. But there is loot behind us here, right? You might as well take advantage of all the loot before you have to fight. And we've gotten some remarkably nice loot. You can see Atsebo piercing arrows, right? Those are decent arrows. We've got some tier 4 and tier 5 items, I think, from these loot piles. Either that or the units that we're killing in these. So I want to say this is overpowered, maybe a little bit. It's been pretty easy just to farm these and collect some really good goods. Fucking kicked that guy to death. This is Sparta, right? Any single guy who kicks a guy to death in Bannerlord, you're always thinking that shit. And so we're not going to farm too much. Not to mention, of course, we're doing this to entertain and not going to have a huge amount of redundancy on the channel. Do a little bit more looting here as my companions chase down the rest of the bandits that are here. And I think, like I said, this will probably be one of the last ones of these we do. But I do really like these, right? I think this is great. It has a limited shelf life. By the way, so do we, right? In 100 years, you and I are back to the carbon that created us. I have a very long-term perspective on the world. And so, you know, I don't mind just moving on after these. We're not gonna waste too much of your time, just like the tournaments. Unless there's an incredible weapon or something rare, I'm not gonna bother with any more tournaments. You could probably just farm these till the cows come home. We don't get any renown, it looks like, also for that. So it's kind of a despicable behavior. We need to rest a little bit, and then we're gonna... Actually, here we can go to this city. So there's another battlefield here. Let's just skip it. We'll go to this city here. We continue to buy troops. We continue to buy nice equipment. Anytime we go to a town, I'm automatically scanning for companions. I think we're maxed. We need another clan tier. Yeah. But, you know, if they have nice equipment, we're still buying it, right? We have 35,000, and we've been able to maintain so much war against brigands that we're actually still doing okay day to day financially, right? We're not hemorrhaging a huge amount of funds. We're also getting so much loot that most of the towns, in fact, look at that shit, it's already negative. We'll see if we can't buy a few things here because I don't really want to be weighed down by all these basic Teppo ammunition and shit like that. See if they have some nice stuff here. They've got a really nice sword. It's very fast. I think that's the fastest two-handed sword I've seen, 97. But the length and the damage are less, I think. For some reason, it doesn't compare it, right? Usually it puts them side by side here. I've got to kind of go like that. I don't know why it's doing that. Now I've got to spend 14 grand here, right? Because I sold so much shit to this town that we have, 14,000 on a gift card here at this city. So we'll just buy some shit. Not a big deal. We'll buy some. It doesn't really matter too much. Money is already becoming not an issue. When you win a lot of battles in Bannerlord or Shokuho, I think money just is no longer an issue. And of course, that's part of the reason we focus so much on tactics on the channel is it covers everything. The guys who do smithing and trudge their way through with charcoal and shit like that, maybe you can do it as quickly, but it's way less fun, right? You're just sitting there. I mean, I guess maybe somebody likes it. Now we're going to do a few quests like this, and I'm going to have to take my time for a few of these because I don't have any idea what I'm doing here. This guy, he wants us to, let's see. He wants us to do some dishonorable shit. It sounds like he wants us to ambush a caravan of another merchant, which is right up Kaiser Sose's alley, right? Let's do some fucking criminal shit here. Now I talked to the guy that we're going to rob. This guy right here. Let's talk, dude. We want to guard your caravan. Wink, wink. I heard you're looking for... Yep. We'd like to enter the service. I know these parts well. He could pay us, maybe. I know these parts well. We'll just skip right to the top line here. And I think we're going to ambush this guy's caravan. Now it says... Where's this shit say? It says... here it is. Around Suwa. We ambush him. So I gotta find where Suwa is, but we ambush this guy around the town of Suwa. I don't know if we need to do anything special or basically just follow his caravan. It's very difficult, right? Guys complain sometimes that there aren't enough quests. It's difficult to code all these quests, and you got all these units running around, and then to add variety. It's a lot, right? Not to mention there can be all kinds of bugs. What happens if we don't do anything here? Does the caravan just stop and then it gets bugged out? What happens to the bandits if they don't attack him? What happens if right now I get killed in a tournament? There's a bunch of different things that the coders deal with here. I think we just go here. Who are these men? Be on your guard. Okay, so I think this is one of the caravan guys talking. And what do we have here? Must be one of your lucky days, huh? Release all your valuables. You're making a big mistake. Oh, this guy thinks that we're here to protect him. And our guy here knows that we're here to rob the guy. And then he says, is that true? You look like a smart man. Nah, we're here to take your shit. So let's see. I'm here to rob him, not be his lackey. So it's interesting. So it's like a choose your own adventure. We could side with the opposite guy here, but I'm here for some robbery. He said, this is the most basest treachery. Shut the fuck up, caravan guy. I'll worry about your ethics after we've taken all your shit here. We're going to mangle this guy. And unfortunately, there's no challenge at all. It looks like this guy's got a bunch of forces and we've got our 90 forces. So we can just F1, F3 this shit. We're not going to do F1, F3 a whole lot in these episodes, but here, pretty simple opportunity, right? And just smash this caravan into next week, take all their shit, and then presumably the first guy will give us money. Although who knows, right? Sometimes they do these quests really well where you get like arrested and shit and you actually end up losing, right? Where it's more like an ethical test. It reminds me of psychology. I took a little, it was a, what do they call that? It was an AP course in high school on psychology. And it was, one of the classic questions is you have a toddler that is on the train tracks, or a baby or something like that on the train tracks, and there's a train coming that's going to hit that baby, but you have the choice to basically hit the switch. You know how they can make a train take a different tracks, and on the other track is 3 elderly women, right? So you basically have to choose who dies, the 3 elderly women or the baby. And there is no true answer. It's usually used as a psychological argument that leads to a larger lecture. But that's kind of what this is like, right? Both of these guys, you could argue either one of those courses of actions are bad. You're helping this guy rob a local merchant, but that guy also said the local merchant was like a rapacious, a greedy, corrupt fuck, right? So is it wrong to rob the greedy and corrupt? Well, Kaiser Sose says, let's rob everybody. Kaiser Sose would rob your mom. This guy, he'll take your mom's lunch money, and then when she's hungry, he'll like extort her and make her do work because she's vulnerable. Kaiser Sose, right? The nemesis character. See, we get positive relation with one, and then the other one, our relation gets hurt. It's kind of much ado about nothing because we're not staying in this area here. If I could, I would rob the original guy, right? If he's like, here's your 1,000, I'd be like, I want everything in your store. Bring it out right now or your daughter dies, right? You just break out this fucking absolutely evil caricature. And we've still got our friend disorganization here, 1.75 minus, is still with us. Like a bad case of herpes, can't get rid of it. So unfortunately, we're just going to have to trudge our way to where there's war. And more unfortunately, I think I may pause these episodes until I figure this out. Or at least we'll try a few, and if I get captured like a bitch because we can't get away, maybe that'll be the trigger for me rage quitting and telling you folks on Patreon, you're just going to have to wait a day or a week or a month. Shokuho is such an ambitious mod, I'm not surprised that there are bugs coming through, right? This is by far the most dramatic overhaul mod I've ever seen. And the fact that it has all these additional quests and you can set up a camp and read books and shit like that. There's going to be problems, glitches with the maintenance, with the matrix, right? And that's what's going on here. We have heaps of gold. We have heaps of nice equipment. At some point or other, I'm just going to start equipping all this stuff and not showing you guys and gals, but not quite yet. Maybe another episode or so. Another quest, detective work. I think this is the same one where his son is corrupt. That's the other problem. Inevitably, you're going to have basically the same thing happen. You know, you're going to have multiple quests where you've already done them. They can't make 500 unique quests, right? It would take such a massive Herculean effort by the coders. And that's the kind of thing like a game like Oblivion and Skyrim, they were renowned for, right? I played a lot of Skyrim like 12 years ago, whenever it first came out. And it's outstanding in the amount of areas to search and quests and shit like that. But that is like a major, huge game corporation, right? The creators, what is it, Bethesda or whoever took it over, that is a huge organization of probably, I was going to say thousands, at least hundreds of paid employees that are working for months or even years to design a game like Skyrim. And it's difficult to expect that from every single game you ever play. Or especially a mod like this that is free, right? When people are like, oh, it's, guys I see on Reddit, they're like, it's not that interesting. It's kind of, Shokuho is kind of dull. I'm like, man, you guys are hard to please. You might want to change your perspective on life. Otherwise, your girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever you are, they're going to fucking hate you. Show some appreciation for a free mod that dramatically adds hours to this game that you're playing. Maybe it's not perfect, but man, it's pretty fucking amazing. And hopefully you take that less as scolding and more as just, you know, your approach and attitude towards life is everything. Now, this is the kingdom I want to join. Look at that shit. They have like 6 or 7 fiefs, and it's not because they're strong. We're not trying to join the strongest here. They're at war. Because they're so big, they're going to be at war with a lot of different people, and we're going to happily change our allegiance here, right? Kaiser Sose has no allegiance whatsoever. They're at war with these people down here, the green, I think. I gotta take a closer look at this shit. These are totally bewildering to me, all the different colors and icons. When you play classic Bannerlord, it's really simple, right? It's strictly colors. They're gonna give us 270 yen or tokens or whatever to kill their foes. But who are their foes, right? This is Oda no Ryogoku. And they're at war with this. Okay, so they're sieging right here. This little flower, the blue flower on the white. And then this red one. And I don't see them. Is it this one? No, they're neutral. And there's all these different, and they're very similar, right? That's red. It's not them, though. Let me take a closer look here. Kind of looks like a cobra's head. It's sort of blue, black over red, but this is black over red too. See, it's bewildering because the icons and the colors and the banners are so similar. So, where is this shit? Is it this one? It looks like this one. Okay, it's these guys. So we need to actually, ironically, go back a little bit where we came from. That's where all the war is. But I think with this encumbrance, it's time to wrap this episode up. Oh shit, I misclicked it. We were going to do a little tournament here. I was actually going to wrap the episode up and do a tournament. It's again another horse that I don't care much about. And I'm sure people are like, well, just get the horse and sell it. I'm just not going to waste your time, friends, with tournaments at this stage. The tournaments are interesting. They're a little bit more dynamic than some tournaments in Bannerlord. But if I'm honest, I think some of the tournaments in Bannerlord are actually more interesting because they have a lot of a variety of weapons. In fact, my favorite one is the Botanian tournaments, right? Because you get tournaments where guys have a shield and sword, other people have a sword, or other people have a bow, and then the third branch of people might have pole arms or two-handed weapons. Makes for some really interesting tournaments, especially like a 4-on-4 or an 8-on-8 or something. It's pretty interesting. Now, I'm just going to take a glance here in case we can extend this episode with a battle. No, we're not going to be able to. There's a huge force sieging their castle here. Now, we could sneak in, but my early view here is that castle siege is very deliberate. And if you haven't heard that term, what I mean here, an easier word is just slow. They seem to sit outside for days trying to starve out the attackers, or the defenders rather, and they don't engage the siege, right? You don't have the countdown of their numbers as they're assaulting the citadel. That's a little bit disconcerting too, because of course in vanilla Bannerlord, not even a day or two passes usually and they are attacking. So I'm going to wrap this episode up here. We will see you next time, friends.